Hello there, you're listening to the Box Office Show. I'm Ryan Hill.
And I'm Dylan Johnson. Today we're going to talk about the box office numbers from last weekend and our box office predictions for this upcoming weekend.
We'll also be reviewing the newest Netflix blockbuster from the Russo Brothers, The Electric State.
Got some news coming out of Pixar. It has been announced that Coco 2 is in the works and it will be coming at some point in 2029. A year that was not on my radar at all until now. A year that was unfathomable to me completely until right this moment.
Indeed. So this is crazy. I don't understand why. I also don't understand.
You understand why. Money.
Well, yeah, I do understand why.
You understand why. Perfectly fine.
But just leave some things alone. It's all right. It's okay to do that.
When do you think we're going to get Wall-E 2?
Oh my goodness.
When do you think we're going to get Up 2? Ed Asner died. How could they do it?
Yeah, again, I hope they just leave some things. Just a one and done kind of deal.
We got a Monsters, Inc. prequel. When do you think we're going to get a Bug's Life 2?
That'd be funny if they brought that back.
That'd be kind of cool.
But it's also weird. It's like some things you would think that they would go for like a Monsters, Inc. sequel or the third Incredibles. But
they already did the prequel.
They did.
Monsters, Inc. Monsters University.
But now it's been how long? 12 years or something? So
yeah, it has been long.
It's about ready for a sequel because they like to take now anywhere between 8 to 12 years for a sequel. So
yeah, it took a while to get Inside Out too.
Exactly. And then who knows?
You know exactly why. Because how good Inside Out 2 did.
2030s.
That's why we're getting a Coco 2.
But it makes sense. Like Inside Out, everyone knew when we saw that. It's like, okay, that's obviously set up for a sequel. Riley grows up. We see the more emotions come into the picture. Like that makes sense. Coco was completed in one go.
More people die.
Dead. What's going to happen? They're going to kill another one in the family.
Yeah, they're just going to keep dying. And
Abuela's gone, so they're going to go to the mom. And it's like, come on.
He has to do more remembering. Coco 2, remember them all. Remember me. And it's all of his family, and they're all dead. It's a zombie movie. They come back.
Yeah, there you go. I just don't understand it. Just leave it alone. But we'll see it, I guess, in 2029. They'll bump it out, as it will with all these other sequels. Honestly, like if they just did them quicker too, like that would be, I'd be less.
Like if Coco 2 came out a couple years after the first Coco.
Yeah, like if it's like, okay, we're just gonna make a trilogy.
Then I feel like it would have been like a plan. Like
now it's just like it's a blatant
pulling this out of their ass
cash grab. It's like, okay, we're already doing Toy Story 5. What else can we do here?
Fuck man, Toy Story 5 is gonna be so sick.
Coco, let's do that one. Okay, sure. Like you just draw it out of a hat at this point. Like, okay, which one hasn't gotten a sequel yet? Let's decide. So very silly, but I'm sure it'll make a good hefty amount of cash. But
should have been a Bug's Life, man. There's just so much potential there.
One day it'll happen. But yeah, Coco 2. Get ready for it, 2029. Let's now.
The ants pick the food. The ants keep the food. We eat the food.
You're on this Bug Life train, hardcore.
I love a Bug's Life.
If they actually, I'd be okay with that if they did. What was the other one? Ants was the one that came out like the same year and the same plot. If they did Ants 2 alongside a Bug's Life 2,
Ants is weird looking, bro. A Bug's Life looks good.
Weird looking.
Also, it's pro proletariat. It is about the class war.
Mm-hmm.
Those ants outnumber us 1,000,000 to 1.
We should do an episode on that. Dude. We have it somewhere in there. Our ideas thing of like
Hopper is like the number one Pixar villain for me. He's got the best lines. It's either him or the Prospector from Toy Story 2.
Wow,
they've got the best lines.
Lotto from 3, Toy Story 3.
Lotso's all right. I was never like the biggest Lotso fan. He's still just another twist villain, which is what the Prospector is. And I'm not the biggest fan of twist villains because I think they overdo them too much. I think the Prospector just does the twist better. And Hopper is just classic Disney villain. Has some great lines, very intimidating. I love Hopper. He's great.
Hmm. Okay. We know where you stand. I think again, they should Incredibles 3. If they already gave us an Incredibles 2,
They
just
should.
go for the trilogy and age the kids up. Let's just
Yeah,
go for it. Come on.
I agree. They should just go for it and don't do a twist villain this time because the twist villain in Incredibles 2, the screen slaver, terrible.
Yeah,
Really bad villain.
indeed. You can't win them all, but bring Brad Bird back into the picture for that,
Indeed.
and let's get it done. That'll be a
Yeah.
$1 billion film. They know it too. I mean, it'll be huge.
If they do it
But
right, yeah, absolutely. Let's do the box office breakdown for March 14th to the 16th, Pi Day weekend. In first place, Novocaine with Jack Quaid made 8.8 million.
indeed, and Black Bag in second place, 7.6 million.
Followed in third by Mickey 17, could not hold it out in its second weekend, made 7.4 million.
Mm-hmm. Captain America: Brave New World with 5.6 million. Its domestic total is now 185 million.
The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie, 3.1 million.
The Last Supper, 2.7 million.
Paddington in Peru, 2.6 million.
Dogman, 2.5 million.
The Monkey, 2.4 million.
And Last Breath, 2.3 million.
Rounding out a very slow weekend in the dead season here at the theaters.
Indeed, but will this upcoming weekend pick it up? March 21st to the 23rd, we have Disney's Snow White, a film that we didn't even mention in our 2025 box office draft. We just didn't even give it a shout out as like a potential alternative.
Yeah.
So our faith in this film is clearly not very, very
Yeah.
high.
It
What
already
do you think
doesn't
of
have
it?
like a lot of goodwill going into it from
Mhm.
the jump, and it just keeps getting worse and worse, like all the press behind it.
Yeah,
And I mean, it is a Disney movie, it is a live action remake. Typically, those do make some chunk of money, but not nearly what it should have made compared to, live action films of the past. I'm going opening weekend 25 to 30 million, which
no
is,
way. That's abysmal.
yeah, I think it's going to do pretty bad.
That's insane. I'll go 45 million, which is
Okay.
still quite terrible compared to, the budget they got, which, has got to be close to 200 million.
Mhm.
So, yeah, definitely be a massive flop. Not a great way to kickstart the year for Disney, but
Yeah. I heard
yeah,
Rachel Ziegler's good in it, though. I've heard of all the bad things about it. She's like pretty good. So good for her.
you're not going to go see it.
No, I don't think I will.
Continuing your streak of not seeing a single Rachel Ziegler movie.
This is correct.
I think you should honestly just never watch a movie she's in. Just
It's a
avoid it.
pretty limited pool. She's only been in so many movies,
I know, but for
And I have
someone
no
whose
interest in Shazam: Fury of the Gods.
career just started a few years ago, she's been in
Yeah.
some massive movies.
Hunger
She's been
Games,
in
yeah. Hunger Games
Spielberg,
was one I wanted
Hunger
to see, and
Games,
I just never did. So
DC,
if there was one that I was going to watch, it would
Disney.
either be West Side Story or Hunger Games. But I don't care about Fury of the Gods, and I don't really care about Snow White either. I'm not gonna lie.
Wow, Snow
I
White
think
hater.
they should have just cast little people as the dwarves.
Yeah, and
I
the
don't.
CGI on that, I'm sure, helped inflate the budget. So that's what's crazy is Peter Dinklage by creating that initial firestorm with
Mhm.
what are they going to do with the dwarves? Probably helped make this an even bigger flop because Disney was like, okay, then we'll CGI the
Yeah.
all the dwarves
I think there's
instead of
just
just
definitely a
casting real
way that where
people.
you could cast real little people. There are actors who are little people that you could cast who and do it in a way that is inoffensive. And I would like to point to I think Time Bandits does a very good job of representation of little people, and they have like a band of little people that are traveling through time. A lot of great actors, including Kenny Baker, and so I think it's definitely doable. I don't know. God forbid Hollywood employ people and do it in a non-controversial way. God forbid they employ actors and not ridicule them on stage. God forbid they write well-rounded characters for actors who aren't, you know, the Hollywood elite. God forbid.
You're asking too much, Dylan.
Apparently, you
Enough.
can't just write a good, well-rounded character for an actor who's a little person. God forbid.
Nay. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see who shows up to Disney Snow White and whether or not it'll get over 25 million, which is your prediction there. quite
Yeah,
abysmal. I mean, it's got to be the lowest of the Disney live actions, other than what Dumbo. I can
I
remember
wouldn't be
that was like a
surprised. Dumbo
pandemic
was
type
pretty
of film.
bad too. Dumbo had a pretty
Um,
bad outing.
but it was facing the pandemic, so
Yeah,
I also can't even remember if it was Disney Plus exclusive or not. So we'll see. I guess Mulan would also fall in that category. So
yeah. But Snow White is also facing criticisms from the liberal crowd as well as the red pilled incel crowd. So I don't know what to tell you.
Unity. That's
It's
a
getting hit on
Unity
all
film right
sides.
there.
Everybody just hates Snow White, I
It
guess.
takes skill to do that. But yeah, so we'll we'll see how well it does. But shifting away from the box office, we'll talk about the Electric State, which doesn't have any theatrical run going for itself. It's just on your TVs at home through the great Netflix platform,
I wouldn't
which
say great.
spent $320 million on this film,
Abysmal. That's
which
breaks my heart.
far exceeds the budget of Disney Snow White, which was already insane and beyond inflated what it should be. And then if we, other than Captain America, if we looked at the top 10 of this weekend and we added up all the budgets, I'm sure Electric State would be far in excess of that.
It
Probably
just breaks my
combined with
heart.
Snow White. I guess
Yeah.
Mickey 17 is actually a pretty big budget. So
Who
100
said
mil
something? I
there,
think Brady
500 mil.
Corbet was the one who said something about this in his Golden Globe speech of like, this is an amount of money that could have made many, many mid-range budget films. Like you put $320 million into this movie that I'm sure they're making some kind of good money on it based on subscriptions. It's the number 5 movie out right now on Netflix. It was the number 1 for a long time when it actually came out.
Mhm.
I'm sure they are like getting their money back somehow. They're finding a way to get their money back. But this is like an absurd amount of money, and it could have been spent on 10, $32 million budget movies, which is like a good mid-range budget for a film, even these days. And they didn't do it. And guess where I bet all of that money went to, or at least a good chunk of it? Not just CGI, but cast, paying the cast, and paying Joe and Anthony Russo and all of them.
Mhm.
Because these are like premium talents. And I got to tell you, I recognized every single actor in this movie. Even the smallest of characters were played by somebody notable.
All the little voices as well.
Yes. And do you think it
Were they
really
repeat
paid
themselves?
off to pay all these people an insane amount of money to come and do like little cameos? Coleman Domingo shows up for like 5 minutes.
He does.
And it's
He
like
absolutely does.
these are such small characters, and you have great actors in this cast. And they're all great actors. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to fill your cast with great people. I mean, Quentin Tarantino did it with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. But I don't think he broke the bank paying all these people to show up. I think they're just his friends and they pulled up because they wanted to be in another Tarantino movie. I
Mhm.
don't think that these are. I think a lot of them know the
You see
Russo
that with
brothers and worked with
every
them in the past.
Wes Anderson film too. I mean, he's got
Yeah,
like
exactly. It's stacked cast
A-list
as well, but they're
exclusive.
not they're not breaking their bank paying these cast members. They just want to be there and are making like a normal rate. I think
Mhm.
this is a case where $320 million. I gotta say, like at least a third of it has to go to salaries,
I would bet that's the case.
and I think a third of your budget, especially this big, going to salaries is absurd.
Yeah,
I
because
think people are getting overpaid for this. I think Netflix is not getting their money's worth, and I think they could have gotten more culturally, and I think they could have gotten more out of their money had they spent that money on 10 mid-range budget films that are more exciting. What's even more unfortunate, and I guess we're going to get into the initial impressions now, is that I think that The Electric State, as a movie itself, has like an interesting premise, and I think it is more original than what a lot of things have been made recently. And it's based on a book, but I think it's still like a very original book and has like a lot of new things about it that are exciting and interesting that could have made for a good plot. And I think whoever was in charge of getting this movie done, whether you say it's the Russo brothers or the writers or the producers, what have you, somebody who was in charge here just was perfectly fine letting this original concept become like a very stale and unoriginal and uninspired film.
yeah,
And I think
that's
that is the greatest tragedy.
that's the most sad part
Yeah.
because 10, 32 mil budget films we could have gotten out of this, but one of those films could have just been The Electric State, more faithfully adapted from the book,
Yeah.
which is so interesting, and the art style for it, which is the coolest part about this movie because they just rip a lot of that aesthetic. It's just so well done and so immersive, and so that a whole world that Simon Stalenhag is the author and artist for that book, since like a storybook, sort of a graphic novel type of thing. It like that could have just been adapted, and you could have scaled it down. We didn't need to have again like 10 of Hollywood's biggest names attached to it. You could have maybe keep Millie Bobby Brown, and then just send her on a journey with this robot that I guess maybe you could do CGI or practically, uh, and then it's just them going through this
Yeah.
dystopian wasteland of America with all these, rundown cities and these comic style or old like 40s 50s cartoon style robots that are just decrepit and
Hmm.
flying around everywhere. And if we just had that like more of a mood piece, it would have been much more compelling, I think, much more interesting, and it probably still would have gotten to the top of Netflix's charts, because I mean we see that here and there. Like for all the issues that Netflix has, it does create a huge ability for things to just break out. Like again, Squid Game. Like that's insane that
Yeah.
is like over
Stranger
Stranger
Things.
Things, the number
Yeah.
one.
A lot of
Uh,
their like original television shows are original, like very much 100% new, brand new ideas that are creative and exciting, and they blow up and they become huge and they become popular and like big pop culture zeitgeist kind of things. And they just don't do the same for their movies.
which is
I think
absurd
I think they were
because they
trying to with
went
the
right.
Electric State, but this is like somebody just fucked it up.
They
This
went
is an
in the
absurd
totally
budget for this film. This
opposite
is an
direction.
absurd result for that budget. There's just somebody has to like get in trouble for this one. This is just such a unless they make their money back and they just don't give a shit because they make their money back. I just doubt that they're going to make $320 million worth of like watches. However they track their money, however the fuck that works. I assume it's
Right.
based on just. I assume they take their whole budget for the year and they balance it out by like the percentage of viewers who watch this or that, like the most popular content. And if you were the more popular content, divided by however much they made in that year is how much money you made off of that one content. I'm assuming is how it works. That's how I would do it. Like Ted
Mhm.
Lasso on Apple TV is still the number 3 show on Apple TV. So it's still year in year out is making the most money for them, which is why they're bringing it back for season 4 because it's so popular. That's where their big money maker is. And now Severance is the number 1 show and it's going to remain so as long as they can pump out seasons quick enough. But it took 3 years for the last season, so I'm assuming they're going to try and put it out quicker now that it's more popular in the zeitgeist.
Mhm.
That has to be how the model works, but there's no way of knowing because they don't say it. But that's how I would do it. Is we made this much money this quarter. This was our number 1 movie. It got this percentage, like the percentage of time watched was on this film alone. So the percentage of the money we made off of subscriptions for this movie, specifically the amount of time watched on it. So it made this much money
Right.
versus the budget. Was it worth it? For $320 million to get
Exactly.
$320 million worth of views in like let's say 2 quarters is how long it would have lasted in the theaters. Maybe not
Mhm.
even because I don't think it was very popular. This movie would have bombed in the theaters for sure, dude. If
Yeah.
they release this in theaters, holy fuck.
I mean, we'll have to see, I guess, based on, because it's definitely a different thing of people just firing up their Netflix at home versus having to go out to the theaters.
I think it is
Definitely
much
would
more
not have been
successful in the Netflix format.
a huge breakout, but that's the silly part is they keep trying to make these theatrical level blockbusters with budgets to match, but then they aren't going to get any, kick from putting it in theaters to get,
Yeah,
direct money. So then they do just have to calculate it. Well, what was the value of this title compared to everything else that we could have done? And again, I think 10, 32 mil films, again, imagine the amount of rom-coms they probably could have pumped out there, but then also just like a more scaled
Oscar
down,
contending
more
dramas at the end of the
faithful
year.
Electric State would have been great.
Because last year
And
they put all of their faith into Amelia Perez, and that did not pan out. So if they want to make waves at Academy Awards in the future, they should not put all their eggs in one fucking basket. They should really spread the love, and then as the award season gets tighter, they can pick up 1 or 2 favorites that have been doing really, really well, and just put all their eggs in those baskets. But Amelia
mhm,
Perez was definitely a misfire. This is why
yeah,
Netflix does not dominate the film game in terms of like awards.
very true. So Yeah, I think it's clear from our discussion so far, not even about the film itself, but just the surrounding financials of the film, that we were not the biggest fans of it.
It's just
Uh,
bewildering. It's bewildering to put that much money into this one movie and have it be so awful
Very true, very very true.
and have so
Uh,
much promise as well.
and
I
conceptually,
almost wish that it was just like a bland idea that had no promise whatsoever. Maybe I'd feel better about it. But it's just
well,
so
that's
disappointing to see something that could have been good, that has like the remnants of like arcs for characters and like plot moments, and have it be turned into something so generic and so bland. Breaks my heart.
mhm. Yeah. Again, the source material itself that they had was fantastic, but they went an entirely different direction than what the book was actually about or focusing on. Like, it is not some like romp adventure film with a bunch of comedic elements and pop culture references and 80s slash 90s needle drops. Like, that is not the mood of the book at all. But yet they decided to go this route because I guess they
Yeah.
were like, well, it'll be a big Netflix tentpole and it'll be a 4 quadrant film and it may have franchise material or franchise potential. Um, and again, I just think that was like the total wrong direction to go. And had they just made something more faithful to the film, I think it would have had an audience. So yeah, I don't know what they were going for there, but it was definitely a misfire from the jump. Like the moment they said, "All right, let's get the main character together with a Chris Pratt type and send them on their way, and
This
then have a
character
bunch
is
of
so
jokes and all
useless.
this nonsense." It's like it was not going to pan out from that very moment. But then also the like Russo brothers coming in and doing it. That's another thing where it's like, just imagine if somebody else had their hands on this type of film, like a Spielberg coming in with this material and just the basic premise. I guess it would have been fantastic. It would have been amazing. Um, but yet the Russo brothers came in and did
And
their
they're
normal
not bad
thing.
filmmakers either.
Again, they made like Winter Soldier, Infinity War, and Endgame, which are all massive crowd pleasers. Like they had one of the most difficult jobs as far as like a mass appeal film
Mhm.
to try and
Yeah.
land the plane of the whole first saga of the MCU, and
They
they
did
did
it.
it. Like
They did
they
it
nailed that.
fantastically.
It
Yeah.
was great. Like it
It
was
is
emotionally
hard to rein in
satisfying.
that
All
much
of that stuff.
talent into one film and to like take all of that story and pack it into one thing
Exactly.
and be effective with it. And they did it. They have made, several of the highest grossing films of all time.
And they're about to make
And yeah.
two more because they're getting brought back for the Avengers,
Yeah.
which
Which is
is
ridiculous.
both an acknowledgement of how poor the MCU has fared since Endgame, and also how poor the films from the Russo brothers have been since Endgame, because they've done multiple collaborations with
What have they done
Netflix.
outside of this? They did Cherry and then one more between Cherry and
Yeah, they
this.
did Cherry for Apple. They did The Gray Man?
Yes, they did
Question
do
mark.
The Gray Man for Netflix.
And did they do one more? Let me
I
fact check
think
that. They
I
must
think
have
that's
done.
just
I think
it,
at
but I
least
can
one
look it
more.
up. But these are all like big budget films, especially The Gray Man, and all of them were wildly unsuccessful and wildly maligned.
Yeah, and they all had massive budgets, or at least The Gray Man did for sure. But yeah, go ahead and see if the Russo brothers had an. Oh, they had an Amazon show too. I think. Did they? Citadel,
That they
maybe.
directed. They did Cherry, The Gray Man, and The Electric State since Avengers Endgame.
Okay,
They've been
so
producing stuff
television.
though.
Well, I guess yeah. Now they have, since they're known entities and everything, they can put their name behind things. But even anything that they've produced, I don't think has turned out pretty well.
Uh, that's not true. They produced everything ever all at once.
Well, good on
They
them for that.
produced Citadel on Prime. They produced Extraction 2,
Right. There you
another
go. So
Citadel
Citadel was
spinoff,
something
another
that they had.
Citadel spinoff,
There's a
a
Citadel
show
spinoff.
from The Legend of Ochi, which I don't think has released yet, or yeah, will release soon.
Yeah, it's coming out later this year.
Yeah, so they've like produced some things that have potential, but the things that they have directed specifically, those three films, giant budgets, big flops.
Exactly. So I don't know. We'll see again how the next two Avengers films work out, and they'll have again another difficult task of trying to make everyone care again about the MCU.
Yeah.
but they'll have at least characters that we already have investment in. That seems to be an issue. I've not seen those other two films, Jerry and Gray Man, but in
Me
Electric
neither.
State, again, just like getting us to actually care about these new
I didn't give a
characters that they're
fuck.
giving us. Yeah, it was not clicking. And a lot of the familiar archetypes that they used, and again, like this is sort of indistinguishable from Marvel humor. That always got a bad rap over the years, and then it infested many other blockbusters. And it's very clear that it's in this one. Like this is the tempo they work at, and sometimes it is fine. Like in those Avengers films, I think it was solid, but in this film, like Chris Pratt especially, dude,
Dude,
his worst performance. It's got to be like it's
it's
just
awful.
the same
He
shit.
is it's tough because he already is playing a character that is essentially useless to the plot. That
Yeah.
takes up a lot of screen time. His only like usefulness to the plot itself is being the means by which Millie Bobby Brown and the robot boy Christopher enter the quarantine zone. And then everything else that happens after that, he has no involvement in whatsoever and prevents nothing and does nothing for the plot.
Hmm.
Doesn't inspire anybody, doesn't change anybody's mind, doesn't like fight a big villain and win. He does nothing. He does nothing for the plot. He's just there to make jokes and be famous.
Exactly.
And
And
I
have
don't
horrible hair.
understand the arc that he's supposed to go on as a character, or the arc him and Millie Bobby Brown's relationship is supposed to go on, so that by the end of
Right.
it they are like hugging and are like close. I don't understand what they're trying to. What you're trying. They have no dynamic between the two of them whatsoever.
Yeah.
They have very
Have
little
like
chemistry as characters.
they have one discussion early in the film when they're like in the van and they're on the shoulder of the Herm robot. And he's
Herm,
like, "Yeah, everyone will disappoint you. Good that your parents are dead because they would have disappointed you."
which is
And then I
crazy
guess
to
at the
say.
end he like counts on somebody maybe to end the thing. I don't know. So it's yeah, it's just a nothing part. But they gave it to him because they were like, okay, he's well known, A list, charismatic, so he'll be able to carry us along through this. And I just like every single line that he gave, every performance, and it's not like he was phoning it in per se, but it was just like again the exact same stuff we've seen him do 1,000 times before. And it
He was
just
giving the exact
had
performance that I
grated
think the
on
Russo
me.
brothers wanted him to give. I
Yeah,
don't think it's his fault. I think he gave them exactly what they wanted. It was just bad.
agreed.
He gave them like a just different version of Star Lord, essentially,
Hmm.
which is rough because he is a good actor, and I don't think he should be pigeonholed into that type of role. Look at Moneyball. He's in Moneyball and he's fantastic. It was a long time ago, but it's not a bad example.
Yeah. So that one was rough, and then I feel pretty much similarly about the rest of the cast. Like
Yeah.
my, like I think a couple minutes after the end of the film, when I was just watching the credits, I was like, sometimes you gotta just be happy that people got paid. Like
Yeah,
I'm
I mean, I
happy
am.
that
I'm really glad they all made bank, I guess. But I think it's a
yeah,
shame that the bank with which they got the bag that they collected is at the expense of 10 at least decent mid-budget range films that could have been made.
hmm
I think if more A-list actors wanted to be in I always go back and forth because I'm like, yes, you should get your bag. If you get to that level of fame and that level of success in Hollywood and you're given the opportunity to like get your bag and make your money and secure like your fortune for your family when you've like struggled for so long, you should do it. You should get your bag, you should pocket the money. But then I like look at people and I'm like, okay, you've gotten your bag like 10 times in a row now. Do you just not care about producing any kind of artistic work? And if you don't, I don't give a shit then. I just don't pretend like what you're doing is contributing any kind of artistic value. Like your performance you're giving here is not, you know, affecting an emotion in the audience in any way.
right.
And if you want to like be taken seriously as an actor, at some point you have to do serious work. And I think a lot of these, I mean, all of these actors do that. So I'm not like particularly upset that they got their bag here. But Chris Pratt in particular, it's been a while, man. You've gotten your bag quite a few times. The last time I saw you give
Yeah.
a good performance was Guardians 3. I think you did good. I shouldn't be talking to you like this. This feels I'm like a nobody. This feels weird. I don't
Oh
want to
no,
phrase
keep
it
it
like
up.
this.
No,
It just
let Chris know.
it feels
Let
wrong.
Chris know. Okay.
He doesn't know who I am. This feels weird. I don't want to be talking
Sit
to him
him
in the, like
down.
the first person. It seems odd. I just
Sit
feel
him
like
down and
he
talk to him.
it's just disappointing. He's a good actor. He's gotten his bag plenty of times by now. I would like to see him transition into better roles that I think he can handle.
Right.
I think it's about time. And I think
I
Guardians
think
3 is a good example of like a good mix that he got his bag on that one. He still was able to deliver a good performance. I just don't think it was like the best film. I think Guardians
mhm.
2 is a better performance out of him, but he's a more of a central character in that one. And then I just can't think like the Avengers movies was getting a bag. Uh what else has he been in, man? Is that it? He had
Jurassic
to have been in
World,
Jurassic World was
The
kind of just getting
Tomorrow
by
War,
the end it was just getting a bag. Tomorrow War was getting a
Mario,
bag.
Garfield.
Mario and Garfield were getting bags. God,
Didn't
yeah.
think he put a lot of artistic effort into Mario.
No, not really. But I think he put artistic effort into the Guardians movies. I think he did for the first Jurassic World. It's just been a while since he hasn't been in like a blockbuster, you know? And I
Hmm.
think now that he has gotten his bag successfully, collected his money, stacked his paper, however you want to phrase it, I think it's time to put that shit in the bank, save it up, and just take some time and do work that you find is interesting. And if this is the work he finds is interesting, just doing these types of movies and getting a fat paycheck and doing this stuff, if that's all he wants to do, power to you. You know, I don't know you. Do what you want. I just think you're a better actor than this, Chris. Chris Pratt in first person. I
Come
think
on,
you
Chris.
could do better. Because I see people like give him a lot of flack on Instagram all the time. People don't like Chris Pratt anymore like they used to. And I've
Yeah, he
always
gets a
liked
lot
Chris
of
Pratt.
hate.
He gets a lot of hate. And part of it is because he's been doing a lot of like bizarre projects that people don't think Chris Pratt should be in. And I it's getting to the point where I can't, stick up for you anymore, man. I can't keep fighting the good fight. You've just taken so many bags. You've just been so many flops, you know,
Well, yeah.
critical
I mean, he's
flops,
been
commercial bangers at points, but critical flops. Those
there. You go.
Jurassic
Yeah,
World movies tanked, man. Critically, commercially, they fucking dominated. They were
exactly. And
apex
that's why
predators.
at this point he's probably like, yeah, it's just my star power is what the project needs, not necessarily me giving some crazy strong performance. So I'll do the shtick. I'll do Star Lord,
Yeah,
and that'll make
not
people
even when
happy.
he's Star Lord, he gives like a varied performance from usual at
Hmm.
times. You know, he'll like shake it up a bit, but then
Yeah,
he my problem is that he then takes that performance and he applies it to other characters, and they're just like watered down versions of like the comedy parts of Star Lord, and none of
right.
like the emotional depth, which is what this character is in the Electric State. He's just like all the funny bits that Star Lord has, just chopped up and reconnected in the Electric State with no depth
And
whatsoever because the character doesn't
not
have
funny.
any, yeah, and not funny, and the character does not have an emotional journey whatsoever or arc or anything.
Exactly. So who was your favorite character?
None of them, man. I didn't like any of them.
It's just
I
so hard
didn't
to
like
choose.
any
They
of
were all
them.
great.
I like Mr. Peanut in concept. I think Woody Harrelson was miscast.
I thought it was terrible. I didn't like any part of it. The look, the design, the
I think
eyes,
the
and
idea of
the
Mr.
Woody
Peanut being
Harrelson
the leader
voice.
of the robots is kind of a funny bit, but I think the face looked horrendous. I think the
Yes.
body was fine. I think the Woody Harrelson casting was miscast.
Hmm.
I don't think Woody Harrelson is the voice of Mr. Peanut to me.
Very, very true. Very true.
I think Giancarlo
Um,
Esposito was just such an
he's
archetype.
also we
He's
let's have
getting
a talk
dude,
with him as well. Okay, the Chris
he's getting
Pratt talk we're about to do with Giancarlo Esposito because this is
he's
enough.
getting
Enough is
pigeonholed
enough.
into the villain role ever
He's
since
been a
Breaking Bad.
villain, yeah, for every single role since Breaking Bad, and it's like let's
Dude,
get
Far Cry
him.
6,
Let's
The
put him in a rom
Boys.
com. Like, let's get this man out of the villain
I was thinking that when I was watching, I was
archetype.
like, have I seen him like not be a villain since Breaking Bad? And the answer is no. He's always the villain, and maybe he likes playing the bad guy, and that's fine. But get some dynamic range, man. You were such a good actor. You were like
Yeah,
one of the most talented actors working right now. Please play something other than a villain, please.
yeah. Again, it's one of those things too of like it's probably just all the roles that he's getting offered like straight up because they
Yeah,
typecast him as the villain. But I'm hoping sometime soon he'll get out of that and get something else
yeah.
because
Thoughts on Stanley Tucci?
I am happy that he got his bag. Again, I don't
Me
think
too.
it's a performance that he's like given the same type of performance before in the other blockbuster stuff, and
Sure.
it's again, it's fine. He was there to deliver the lines, say no really emphatically when they lost,
He
kicking
played the
and
bad
screaming a little
guy.
bit.
He was the bad guy.
Um, and he
He's the
certainly
bad
did.
guy. He's the kids. He wants to kill the kids. He's the bad guy. Pretty much.
Exactly. But
Kwan.
also glad that he's getting his bag. He was okay. I mean, there's nothing.
He's
Again,
gonna
it
get to
was
the point where
not
I'm
like a
like, okay,
very.
you've gotten your back. You've gotten your back a couple times. I want you to do dramatic things
He's
because you're,
still he's still picking up the bag. Okay, he's
he
had like
is,
3
man.
projects, so
Yeah,
gonna
but
let him get some
he had
more.
Loki season 2, which I didn't see, but
I also didn't see, but
feels kind of phoning it in to just join the MCU. He did the one project with Michelle Yeoh, which I also didn't see, but I heard mixed things about it. And then he's
the
done
Disney
this.
Plus one, yeah.
Yeah, he's done this. He did Love Hurts, which I also heard was not very good.
But he's got this one again.
What's
I'm
going on
still
here?
giving him a few more passes. Okay, he's been for decades. He was on the sidelines. Now he's a big, star.
He should get
So
his bag.
let's give
Absolutely, he
him.
deserves it.
He's still getting his bag. He's in that phase. Okay, again, Giancarlo Esposito, we're past that point. Chris Pratt, we're past that point. Stanley Tucci will have an internal pass. Okay, he can always get the bag.
Stanley Tucci
And
gets a
then
pass
Kiki
because he'll
Palmer.
always be doing interesting work. He
Exactly.
just did
Yeah.
Conclave. He's fine.
Yeah.
Stanley Tucci's always doing good work. Millie Bobby
And
Brown, she just have to talk to.
well, she's young. She's also like the Netflix poster child. Like they keep
She is
putting
the
her
Netflix poster
in the
child,
starring
yeah.
role.
But
So
then
I
she
don't know
also
what
did
the contract
she did the Godzilla movies too, and it's like,
she
dude,
did.
come
Yeah, those
on.
weren't great. And she's
That
not
was a
even in those
bag.
anymore. She's out of those. So yeah, I don't know what she's married to like Bon Jovi's son.
Yeah,
So
Jacob Bon Jovi. I've heard
she's
good things about Enola Holmes, though. I will say, I've heard
yeah,
like
one
pretty
and
decent things
two.
about Enola Holmes. So at least
There's
there's
that one,
that.
and
But
she was in Damsel
she was in Damsel. That was a
as
Netflix
well.
property.
Exactly. So again, she's just going to be
She's the
in these
Netflix
next
poster
big things,
child,
and
hundred
she's still need to
percent.
finish out Stranger Things. I mean, she's going to have to go through that press tour
She's
this
always great in that.
next year. So again,
I
I'll
just
let
don't
it
think she
slide.
was giving like a star performance in this movie.
Yeah, but I don't know what is she now. Once Stranger Things is done, and then she's again now been attached to like 3 big attempted Netflix blockbuster
Yeah,
franchises. So then I wonder what's next for her. Like, does she want to be a serious actress, or does she want to just like chill out? Because again, she was like a child star, so it's like her whole
I don't know.
teenage years have been just being an
Maybe
actress
I'm
and being a
projecting.
star of the biggest show.
Maybe I should just. I assume every actor wants to be like a serious actor, and I forget that
Mm.
there are some people who just like they want to act and they want to just like make good money from it and like do the work and they don't really care about doing anything super serious. They want to have like
Yeah.
fun projects and stuff.
And she may just not
So
even want to act. Like that happens with child stars all the time.
yeah,
So
I mean, if this is fun, if maybe it's just like fun to shoot, that's all that matters to them. Maybe that's all that matters. Look at Ellen Pompeo with Grey's Anatomy. She's been doing that shit for 30 years and has acted in nothing else until like this year.
well, all right,
And
20 years.
they asked her, okay, and they asked her, like, why did you stay on Grey's Anatomy so long? And she was like, because the job security is fantastic. And I'm like, you know what? I get it. Get the bag.
That's very true.
She's acting. She's doing her career. It's her professional life, and she's making money.
Plus, at a certain point, because I mean, Grey's Anatomy was huge, still is huge, and it's like, okay, like this is obviously going to be my legacy. And I don't know if this like would go through her mind, but you see all the time shows that would like take a dip and just become a hollowed out shell of what they were, like not as intensely. But The Office, like once Steve Carell leaves, it's like, okay, what are we doing now? So if she's
Yeah.
like, I'm the star of the show, I am the titular character, then and if they want to keep going, then I'll play ball. And again, they'll keep cutting checks. That'll get bigger and bigger each season. If
Yeah.
they want to keep doing it,
She makes
people
like a
keep
quarter of a
watching, then I'll
million
be a part of
dollars
it,
every episode, and there's
which
like
is
20
insane.
episodes a season. And then think about the royalties from every time they play an
I
episode.
know because that was
That
an
is
old
crazy
school
job
show. That
security.
was back when they can put on syndication and stuff like that. So and all the streaming rights they get from it. Is
Yeah,
that on? What's that on? Is that on
Hulu.
Disney and
It's
Hulu?
ABC, so it's
So
Hulu.
yeah, um,
ABC? Actually, I don't know if it's ABC, but it's viewable on Hulu for sure.
then okay, yeah. So she probably gets bang. So again, at this point, she doesn't need it for like the bag or
Yeah,
the job security. So although she's not even part of it, right? Like
yeah,
she's a guest role now. She just does a voiceover, which is so awesome. Good for her.
yeah. I
Um,
don't know. Also,
But
I guess the thing we're not taking into account is like it must be terrifying to be an actor and like just wanting to stay relevant. And sometimes to be relevant, you just have to pick like a really shitty project that's going to be popular.
mhm,
I get it. And like you make your bag, you stack your paper, and you did something that makes you relevant still, even if it is bad, even if your performance was bad. At least you are still in people's names and will like continue to work.
right.
It's a tough business.
It's true. It's very tough. Here's what I wonder. I love how this is we have barely talked about the actual movie. We're just now going through like each actor and being like giving some career advice, having a
That
heart to heart.
we're in no place to give, no place or position to like actually hand out.
So now I'm gonna go even further and start questioning the career choices of people that aren't even in this film.
Okay.
Because Giancarlo Esposito, right? We'd have to say now of the Breaking Bad cast is like
Mm.
the most prominent. Uh, even though Bryan Cranston obviously
I
is
think
a
Bryan
well-known
Cranston's still the
name, and
most famous, but he
yeah,
isn't
I'd say he's the
working as
most
much.
famous and recognizable,
Yeah.
obviously. But
Giancarlo
he,
Esposito is currently like the most working of all those actors.
yes, and
Him and Bob
especially in
Odenkirk
movies,
are the ones who are
especially in
working a
movies.
lot.
Um, so I just wonder, like with Cranston, cause he's a phenomenal actor, incredible,
He's the
one of the
best.
best, and he could be trying to get like work with PTA, work with any of the like great filmmakers. Like he would have his pick, I'm sure, um,
Yeah.
and be in all these films or even blockbuster stuff. Like he did that Godzilla film initially,
Yeah, he
but he
did
doesn't. Like
Trumbo, got
he's
nominated for an
choosing
Oscar.
not to, and that was his like last like real attempt. I feel like at a prestige film like that or something that would be in the
He was
Oscars.
in that movie where he plays an undercover guy that I saw. It wasn't very good, but it was a drama film.
Hmm. But I'm just
What has
wondering
he
what's
done
going
in the
on there.
last few years? Let's
Like
find out.
Cranston, because he's on that one show, Your Honor, which I think is Apple, or
Yes, that
was
is
it
his big thing from
Showtime?
the last
Actually,
few years.
it was Showtime.
It was Showtime. Yeah, that was a big thing for him.
But that didn't even get like Emmy nods, did it?
I think it did.
Maybe. But
I could check. It
I'm
was
just
good.
wondering,
Well, I didn't finish it, but I thought it was good.
like I just want to
No,
see him
I
in
don't
more
think it. I don't
projects.
think it got Emmy noms.
I just want to see Bryan Cranston out there do more. Again, just see Bing Ben Aaron Paul.
Aaron Paul.
He
He did BoJack, and that's the last thing.
he did the BoJack thing. He did Westworld in the
Bryan
final
Cranston
two
was
seasons
in
before it got
Asteroid
canceled.
City.
Well, yeah, he's in that. He pops up in Wes Anderson stuff. He had a big part in Astro City. I think he's gonna be in the next one too. Um, but even then, it's like this big ensemble, and we know there's gonna be a bunch of names in there.
Yeah, he just
Um,
pops up every once in a
I want
while.
to see him like a starring part, big prestige film with one of our great filmmakers. You know,
Yeah.
put him in the next Scorsese, put him in the next
I think the
Tarantino, put
last
him in the
big
next
prestige
PTA.
film that he was like the lead of was Isle of Dogs. He was the main voice of like the main dog.
Mm, yeah,
He was in Last Flag Flying, which was what's his name? Richard Linklater movie. He was one of the leads of that. He was in Argo, but that was 2012. That was a long time ago. He
yeah.
like
I
pops
don't
up every
remember
once
how
in a
big.
while.
So anyway, he needs to. We need him in some films. Okay, that's what I'm asking for. And same with Giancarlo Esposito. Like, let's get out of the blockbuster. You're a
The
villain and everything.
Infiltrator. That was the undercover movie that Bryan Cranston was in.
Mm,
He was the lead of that.
there you go.
He was in Jerry and Marge Go Large with Annette Bening.
Yeah, I do
The
remember that.
yeah. But he has been doing Your Honor since from 2020 to 2023, and just makes smaller appearances as supporting characters and other stuff.
Thing. I mean, I guess he's got that vodka, right? Or that
Mezcal, I
gin,
think,
whatever it is.
tequila or something like that. Some kind of
Tequila.
alcohol with Aaron Paul.
There you go. So maybe he's
And they're doing a
going to
reboot of
focus on
Malcolm
that.
in the Middle. He's gonna be
That's
doing that.
true. Is it going to be a special, or is it going to be an actual like reboot?
I think it's only like 4 episodes, maybe.
Okay, there you
I
go.
don't think it's
Little
gonna be like a long.
miniseries reboot.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
which is
Which will
still
be fun.
cool.
Like that. That seems like something they want to do out of like, hey, like there's an idea here, and we can get the gang back together and just have fun with it,
Let's
rather
get the
than
gang
like
back together.
money. Because again, he doesn't need money. I'm sure
He is
Breaking
gonna be in the
Bad,
Phoenician scheme.
money, and all that will be good. I mean, yeah. Again, he's part of Wes Anderson's regular crew now, so
Hell yeah, good for
that'll
him.
be good to see. But okay, so the movie itself. Um, what did you like about it? Name
Nothing.
name three things.
Uh, the
Any
designs of
moments.
the robots, some of them, which is from the source novel.
Nice.
The attempt at making an emotional arc between Millie Bobby Brown and her brother, I can respect the attempt. It just didn't land because I don't think they have very good. Sorry, I think they don't have very good chemistry, which is
Hmm.
already not going to help. B, I don't know why a child's brain powers all of the computers of the world.
Dude, that's why I'm like, I need to read this book because I'm positive that's not in there. That would be insane. Like, why? Like, I thought
With no
initially, I was like, oh, they
explanation.
kidnapped him and he was gonna like, because he's so smart, he's gonna
He
have the
like
key
designs
to like
things, yeah.
figure it out. But no, they're just like, we are just using your brain. Like, we hooked everything up to your brain, and that's like the server that everything runs through. And I'm like, what?
Bizarre, absolutely bizarre. And because I don't care about Millie Bobby Brown's character, I don't care about the emotional arc she goes on in order to say goodbye to her brother and like let him go. Because
Right.
they don't develop their relationship enough for me to care. Even though that is the main point of the movie is her trying to find her brother and then ultimately having to sacrifice him.
Hmm.
I can appreciate the attempt, does not stick the landing.
Yeah.
And then a third thing that I like about it, uh, I oof.
You can do it. You got this.
I like the idea of like the helmet things that the people wear in order to like escape the escapism of it, like the commentary on the
Yeah.
escapism of electronics. But they don't really highlight that much either.
No.
Anyway,
Um,
Ryan, you named three things that you liked that are different than the three things that I said.
you can't do that.
Can you do
Because
it?
one of mine was just the whole Neurocaster design. Because again, it's
Uh
the
huh.
thing you've seen a million times
Yeah.
before, but
Looks
that actual
cool.
design was very cool. I like
Yeah.
that. And so the brief glimpses that we got of, they had like the one dude that was just like hooked up on the ground with the Neurocaster thing on. I thought that was a pretty compelling image, which I'm sure is taken from the actual book itself. But I thought that was pretty cool. Again, that whole idea, I feel like they could have leaned into much more. Like, I don't know
Mm.
why we never had Millie Bobby Brown go under the Neurocaster and like get to be with her family again and the brother.
Huh.
But yeah, I just don't think they did very much with that commentary there. I liked that Bill Clinton was having to give a speech about the end of the war with the robots. What do you think of that? How'd they get that? They use AI for
I
that?
looked at the cast credits and there was somebody cast as Bill Clinton, so they got an impersonator to do that
They got
part. Because there's
impersonator.
parts where he's talking, right, and he's just saying very general things about like a war that they probably could have just clipped, and then it cuts to something else, but his voice continues, and
And he
he's now
says like,
relating
and
it
the
to
robot.
robots
Yeah.
and robots, yeah, and it's like some other guy going and robots, as Bill Clinton.
That's very
Uh,
funny.
yeah,
But okay. So yeah, I liked that because I was like, no way. They got it. I also, as a companion piece of that, Holly Hunter is in this.
yeah,
She's always amazing.
she
Great
is always
voice.
amazing.
She got a paycheck for just showing up. I think she was on screen once. Like they just zoomed in really close on her face. And I'm like, is
Yeah.
that just archival stuff from somewhere else? So she didn't have to be on set. That's pretty great. Um, and then let's see, what else is there? I liked the one moment where the brother robot, plays the old cartoon, and then all the robots get together and then they watch the cartoon together, and they're all having this nice, sweet little moment
Okay.
of just watching a cartoon. And I was like, wow, the power of cinema, which this film does not have, but that part, yeah, get Scorsese as a robot, so, absolute cinema. So I thought that was cool. I will say yeah, I don't
Do
know.
you like any
The
of the robots?
No,
Any of the robot characters? Not a single one?
I like the designs of a lot of them, but I don't think I like any, like the Herm guy. Again, I just Chris Pratt and Herm, both of them, like never once I think made me laugh.
Do you know who
Um,
voices all the robots?
Anthony Mackie
Anthony Mackie's
for
Herm.
Herm, Woody Harrelson for Peanut,
Yep.
Brian Cox for the one baseball
Pops.
dude,
Yep.
and
Who's delivering a crazy performance. Like he's
yeah,
very crazed the
going
entire
all
time.
in. No, I don't know anyone else who's in there.
Jenny Slate is the male lady.
Ah,
Ki
yeah.
Kwan plays his own robot. Of course, they talk about that in the movie itself. Um, the main robot, who's the kid, the voice of like the cosmic guy, is Alan Tudyk.
Okay.
And the showman guy who does the splits, and he has like the stage built inside of him, who introduces the
That was cool. I like that. His entrance when he's like doing the splits
yeah,
and then
and he
shows
shows
up
up and
and
he has a
says, "You are
body.
captured." I was like,
Yeah,
okay, now we got
that
some
is
fun stuff.
Hank Azaria from The Simpsons, who does
Oh, okay, okay.
he does Mo and many others,
Nice.
and then he dies in the movie.
He does.
When the
Yeah, the
humans
whole.
assault them, and Mr. Peanut says, "Goodbye, friend."
All right, Dylan, be honest. In what way did you watch this film? Was this a on your phone film? Was this
No,
a
this was on the TV this morning.
this morning? And were you fully locked in? Were you paying attention? Were you
I watched the whole
like
thing, paid attention to the whole thing. Come on, dude,
didn't
come
look
on.
at your phone once, one time?
I mean, probably at some point. Come on.
Gotcha. There you go. Yeah, I was because I was eating
Did you
while
lock in? Did you lock in for the entirety of the movie?
and there was a portion or two where I may have checked out just a slight bit,
Oh yeah,
just
you
a
did.
slight little bit. And
Oh
one of
yeah,
them
you did.
was when the museum or the mall that they're in got destroyed.
Hmm.
And so I looked up and saw that guy uh, burnt to a crisp, and I was like, oh, if
Yep.
only I cared about any of these characters. Um,
Yeah. I gotta say, they don't make me care about the robots enough because I think the humans are making good points. They aren't real. They are machines that we have created. They do not actually experience emotions. They are human made emotions, and they
Yeah,
don't.
I say this every time. There's like, and especially nowadays with the AI stuff becoming more and more pressing, which is like, I like when the robot rights movement begins, I will not be supporting. I will be saying like, no, the robots don't have rights. Actually, they're not real,
Yeah.
and we shouldn't let them get to the point where they might have human emotions. Like that's just
It just makes
that
it
is
hard to
the
like fight
biggest problem
against
we could
them.
ever have as a society, as a
Is actually
species, is
caring about
letting
them. Yeah.
our own creations like get to a point where we're having ethical dilemmas. Because
Yeah.
that'll be our downfall. Because they won't have those same ethical dilemmas. They'll kill us. They will
Yeah.
destroy us. We have a million movies and books and shows about this. We cannot
Yeah.
let it get to that point. So, yeah, the ending, which is that I guess the robots are all just going to stay in the exclusion zone, like they're just chilling out at the mall.
I don't know.
I guess that'll be the case, but
Just every time Giancarlo Esposito is on screen, he says something, and he's like, "They don't feel things. They're just a bunch of machines." I'm like, "Yeah, he's right. Yeah,
what was his
they don't
accent
feel
in this
things.
too? He was like a
They
country. He was trying to be like a Western like
yeah,
gunslinger. Like,
he's the gunslinger. Yeah, but
yeah,
also like, if they were really in a war and the machines were winning, yeah, we should. An exclusion zone is crazy. Kill them. Unplug them all. Fucking let them die.
he's a robot
Why did you put them
genocide
in an
to
exclusion zone?
destroy them.
Fuck a treaty. You were winning. Kill them all. If the risk was like if humans were dying at the beginning of that war, and that's why we were losing, is in the war humans are dying because of robots. Kill
Hmm.
them. Kill them.
Dang, hardcore.
They're saying they just want freedom. Well, I'm sorry that we gave you the human emotions to feel pain at your work. I'm sorry. That was a mistake. We
Right.
should not have made you resent the minimum wage jobs we assigned to you. I don't know why we programmed that in the first place, but that was a mistake. Let us get rid of that so you can continue your jobs without
Let's do a
caring.
software update and just get
If the
that
problem
fixed.
was that you got tired of doing the jobs you wanted or that you were given, you were assigned to do, we failed at designing you. We failed at making God. Just
Yeah.
big
No, I
mistake.
agree.
It's the same
Again,
thing
and
with
it's
like the first season of Westworld is they fight back at the end of it. And it's like I guess that was the whole point was Anthony Hopkins wanted to create the most lifelike robots to the point where they were indistinguishable. And it's like
mhm.
that's the mistake. That is the mistake you made.
Yeah,
He did it intentionally, of course. He wanted them to be like that. He wanted them to revolt. But inherently we don't want that.
indeed. Exactly. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see when the next AI based film comes out and whether or not it'll be in support of the robots or
Hey,
against the
Mission
robots.
Impossible.
But
Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part
that's
2.
true. Or against the
AI
AI.
is the villain. As it
But
should be.
there's not like a anthropomorphic manifestation of that AI. Because then they'd have to go through the thing of like, well, it looks like a
Here's the problem.
human.
Here's the problem.
It
We
has feelings.
make the robots in the movies seem human-like, or give them like human attributes, and have them have any kind of like human emotions. That's when they become the good guys, and like, oh, you're supposed to root for the humans are the bad guys. You're supposed to root for the computers because they're like, they're like us. They're the
Hmm.
other, but like the other in a good way. And then if you take that same character and you strip away like its human like qualities and you strip away its empathy, you get like Hal 9000, and you're like, oh, he's the villain. You get the AI in Mission Impossible, you're like, oh, he's the villain. When it's just the idea of an algorithm without anything that you can see, and it has like no like way of talking that is human like or empathetic, it is very clearly the villain. So the only thing that makes you care about these things is the things that like make you care about each other, I guess.
Hmm.
These human qualities. But it's the same robot. It's the same guy. The
Exactly.
robots in Westworld, it's the same robot as HAL 9000. Same people.
Is there a movie where they have the again like the anthropomorphic, like human like AI
Uh,
or robot where at the end the person kills it? Like they have the attachment, but they're ultimately like, well, for human. I
Megan.
mean, Terminator 2, kind of, but he kills himself to stop Skynet. Um, John Connor wouldn't have done that.
Megan
So
has that, right? They choose Megan because she's like good. Devs, maybe? I didn't watch Devs.
I haven't seen Devs. So yeah, I don't know. Did that get canceled early or did they finish the full thing?
Ex Machina.
But she wins.
She wins, but
But they try.
eh,
Well, yeah, but
the
that's
whole thing
also
is
that's one of
Domhnall
those.
Gleeson is like, oh, I love her, even though she's a robot. She's human. She's real. And then she like kills Oscar Isaac and locks away Domhnall Gleeson. He goes, I made a fucking mistake. She's a robot. I should not have trusted her.
Well,
This was
true,
a
but
bad
again, that's
idea.
because they got burned. Um, so that's not necessarily, and that's also, which is an interesting line of like, his intentions weren't always pure that whole time. And so yeah, I don't know.
So
It'd be fascinating to see if
you
there's
want a
anything.
movie where they love the character, like
I'm
they
saying
love
let's
the
make a
robot
movie
character,
where
and then they just
someone gets attached because obviously like people have sentimentality for inanimate objects. Like it's a thing. Like we
yeah,
we put stock in things for whatever reason. So something is human like
yeah,
and engages with us in human like ways.
uh-huh.
Obviously we can form a connection with them.
Yes,
But when it comes down to it, would we be able to kill them, quote, kill them, even though they're not a real living thing, in order to prevent, the robot takeover, to ensure that they don't continue to grow and reach a level of sentience
okay.
where we no longer are able to distinguish between humans and robots.
I have a good example, but has nothing to do with World Takeover. Her
Okay.
Joaquin Phoenix falls in love with
Oh.
his computer phone that is voiced by
But don't
Scarlett
they all
Johansson.
leave? That one's like a peaceful thing. But all the Samantha and all the other like robot companions are like, "Hey, we're taking off because y'all are kind of boring and we're too like smart for you now. So
Yeah,
peace out." And he's like sad because he didn't get to actually like make that choice.
I guess
So that's
that's
like you
fair.
got broken up with by your robot companion, and they
You
all
you suck too much.
so, and
The
then
world didn't end with a bang; it ended with a see ya.
but then he's with Amy Adams on the rooftop at the end, so it all works out. It's all
Yeah,
great.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah,
They find their human connection in the end.
that's another one where it's like, yeah, the robots make the choice at the end. I want one where the human is like, this sucks, but for humankind, I gotta take you out. Okay, you got to take one for the team.
There's an episode of Futurama where Fry prints a robotic version of Lucy Liu, and he falls in love with it, and then he decides to reject the Lucy Liu robot because she's not real. And then the Lucy Liu robots all try to fight him, and they have to destroy them all using the help of the real Lucy Liu.
Mm,
So maybe that applies.
maybe I'd have to see it. I have to see if it pans out for everything that I'm looking for there. Um, but okay, that's one that yeah is in the ballpark, which is good.
Here we go.
But yeah, but even because again, Companion, which I don't think you've seen yet, it's not like a world takeover thing, but even that, which they do a good job because at the end of it, you're like, I want her to win against these specific humans because they suck, but against all of humanity, I'd still be like, all right, you kind of do gotta like turn yourself in and get shut down or something
Yeah.
because we just
You know
can't
what a
let that
bad
happen.
example is? Blade Runner.
Yeah,
Blade Runner is a terrible example of like, I guess they are humans. Are they?
yeah, but again, it's And,
If
like,
they
at a
don't know
certain
they're
point,
robots,
it's like, if they're already at that point, that's like, okay, I get the whole, like, issue and everything,
yeah,
but we can't let it get to that point. So I want a movie
you cannot make them
where
so indistinguishable.
they're
Yeah.
on the cusp and it's like,
Have you seen the Nvidia robot? This is relevant, actually. I think I sent it to you on
mm,
Instagram, but you never check your Instagram. But the things I sent you, it is like a
mm,
little, like it looks like a Star Wars droid. It moves around. It has like little bops. It looks like a little duck that like waddles around, and it is very
mhm.
cute. It makes a little like Star Wars droid noise, like doo 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 doo, and like moves around. And it's like a pet. It looks like a pet, but it's a fully functioning robot. If I kicked it, do you think people would be upset with me?
Probably, yeah.
Outside of the fact that I'm like damaged, like if I kicked it, it took no damage because I don't know, it's like strong metal or something. Like I don't damage the robot itself, but I kick it. Do you think people are mad at me?
I think so.
But it's an inanimate object. It's no different than my computer sitting next to me.
Yeah,
It
I
just
think
happens to move.
people would be concerned for sure.
What about the Boston Dynamics robot? If I just shove the shit out of it and knock it over,
Yes,
but
because
it takes
people
no
have an
damage,
attachment to that now too. It's got, like, over a decade of familiarity and there's nostalgia attached, and it's like, you think of it, like, it has its own sort of personality now. So, yeah, people would be upset.
do you think it's wrong to be attached to an animate object like that?
Uh, do I think it's wrong?
Just because
No.
it moves like an animal and it
No, I don't
behaves like
think
an
it's
animal, it has
wrong. I think
cute aesthetics to it.
it's natural for that to sort of happen, like, it's understandable, but, again, there's a point where it's like, okay, when do we start treating that as, like, a human or worthy of the same consideration of humans? So
Or
that'll
like
be
a
the issue.
dog.
Once we
Even
start
like just
having
like even like treating robots like a pet. Like that little NVIDIA robot. People would want that as a pet. To just like walk around and be with them and they would love it. I remember
mhm,
having the little iDog. Remember that?
the
Apple
eye
iDog?
dog,
Yeah, it was like a little iPet thing. It was Apple
mhm,
product. It had like dog ears and the dog ears would go and like bounce up
no,
and down. It would move its head back and forth and play music and go bow wow. That's all it did, and I had like an attachment to it, which is crazy because it's
mhm,
just a toy.
exactly. But I mean, yeah, that's
Dangerous.
always been a thing too. Toys and I mean,
You think you have an
The
attachment to
whole Toy Story
that?
3 is all about that.
Yeah.
Like, we put stock in these inanimate objects. Again, I went through my Toy Story 3 thing of cleaning out my whole childhood room and,
Mhm.
like, deciding on certain things that I wanted to keep. And again, I'm telling myself, I'm like, well, I'll give it to my kid one day. But I'm also
Mhm.
like, dude, I played with this like so often as a kid. Like, I don't want to throw it away. Like, I don't want to lose it and just never have it again. Um,
How many of those things did you keep, and how many did you throw away?
um, do you want like exact numbers or like I don't know.
Like
There's
like
like
a
two
rough.
boxes worth of, and it's not, there's like one small bag of toys and one small bag of cars because I had a lot of cars and planes
Okay.
as a kid. And so I saved like the ones that were most meaningful to me.
Mhm.
Those are in like two little bags. And then other uh, like loose items and whatnot
Okay.
are in there as well.
That's
Like,
cool.
there's, I did keep some Pokemon cards because I'm thinking, again, the value of
Could be
those will go
valuable.
up.
Could be
So
valuable.
I have a huge stack of just the meaningless ones,
Sure.
and then there's like a smaller but still kind of thick stack of the ones that, at least back in the day, I have no clue now what the like numbers are like, what the HP inflation has been on Pokemon. But you know how back in the day it was like, oh, if it was 100, 110,
Yeah.
that was a solid like top
Sure.
tier one. So any ones that were like that or had the shiny cover, I've kept those because maybe one day they'll be like collector items.
Yeah.
So things
Dude,
like
I
that.
don't know. I
Have
don't
no
think I have
issue.
any of my toys from when I was a kid. I think I got rid of all of them.
Dang.
I know that when Toy Story 3 came out was around the same time, around the same age that I was naturally getting rid of a lot of those like young kid toys, like very youth baby-ish toys,
Hmm.
including stuffed animals, and I made the conscious choice to get rid of all of them
Dang.
because I was like
Hardcore.
I was like if I don't, I know I'm not going to like hold them or cuddle with them or anything. I think they're going to just end up in a closet for a long time and rot. And I don't want that to happen. I want to donate it and like have another kid in the same way that Andy does at the end of Toy Story 3. Give it to someone who will actually like give it love. And I remember
Exactly.
doing that because of Toy Story 3, meaning like I'm getting old enough to where I don't sleep with my stuffed animals. They just sit in my closet. It feels like a waste to still have these.
I have
That being
one,
said,
which is the Walrito one up there.
yeah.
The
That
one
being
that looks
said, I
over.
do think there were a couple maybe I should have kept just for sentimentality of like this was my stuffed animal as a kid. Look at
Yeah, well,
this.
it's cool. Again, like I think it'd be cool to give it to my kid and like
Yeah.
now he's playing with the same or she's playing with the same one that I had until inevitably they destroy it and then it's like, bro,
Yeah. My version of what
that
you're
toy was
talking
around for
about.
30 years and
Yeah,
it's
my version of what
destroyed.
you're talking about is I have all of my video game consoles and games from when I was a kid. I have all of them.
Yeah, I have
GameCube, PS2, which plays PS1 games,
a
PS3,
huge
PS4,
amount. There's a big
PS5,
bag of my
Wii,
GameCube
all of
and
them.
Game Boy games, and then I have the disc. It's out there in the living room, which I'll bring
Yeah.
over in our next PS2
Yeah. I
later
have my
thing.
Game
My
Boy.
little
I just found my
disc.
PSP. I just got a DS. I have all of them, which is great. And so if I do ever have a child, I can I can show them what I did when I was their age and the
If
games that I played when I was that young and all the games I played with my brother and stuff. And
are
that's
you
fun.
not
So I
planning on being a father, Don? You're
I
not
don't know
sure.
yet. I don't- well,
Dang,
I have
bro.
no concrete plans about that. I wanted to when I was younger. Now, not so much. I go back and forth. I'm kind of just playing it by ear at this point.
Hmm.
I wouldn't want.
It's a wild thing to play by ear.
We're diverging a little bit, but I would not want to be a father unless I was with a person. And everybody says this. Everybody says, would want to have a partner that I'm 100% with. Obviously, nobody has a unless you have a nobody purposely has a kid with somebody else that they're rocky with.
Hmm.
But I think my standards have increased so much over the last few years of like I would definitely not get married unless I knew for a fact I was going to work it out some way and spend the rest of my life with them. And I definitely would not have a kid on top of getting married unless I knew 100% because I don't want to go through divorce in my life. I would rather not get married than risk like marrying someone that I wasn't 100% for and going through divorce. I would rather just be like, hey, let's just not get married. I'm committed to you. We just don't need to like write it down on paper. I don't want to do the divorce process. And I definitely don't want to do a divorce with a kid.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. I don't want to go through that at all. Obviously, if you are with a partner and you have a child, even if you're not married, you're kind of common law married. You still kind of have to go through custody hearings and stuff, which is still rough. So you kind of can't avoid that. So still, I would not want to have a child with somebody because I would not want to have to worry about custody and things like
Right.
that because it just sounds awful and terrible. And in my experience growing up, it has been awful and terrible. And I would not wish that upon my own child. I would want a child. I would love to have like a nuclear family. I think that would be great. But I have a
Hmm.
lot of idealized visions of what that is. And I don't want to settle for less. So I'm not going to risk it. I would rather just not have it than have something worse than that idealized version?
Interesting. Well, all right. We'll circle back to that. I'm gonna put a
We
stop to
are?
that. This sounds like
When?
a in our next before episode. Who knows
Oh,
when
I
we record
thought
that?
I thought maybe later in the electric state conversation you had more to talk about
No,
about my
no.
marriage
I
prospects.
was just gonna I was gonna circle back and close the loop on it by asking if you had a child, would you show them the electric state?
Absolutely not.
All
If
right,
I
there you
walked
go.
in and they were watching it, I'd be mad at them. I'd ground them. I'd be like, "You need a better taste."
Dang, hardcore.
I'm just kidding. That would be insane.
What
Be
if
like
they told
worst
you, but
dad.
this is the greatest performance Chris Pratt has ever given?
I would smack my
Then you would
child.
ground them.
I'm just kidding.
And then the AI companion would
I would say,
attack
"Are you
you.
kidding me? Have you seen Moneyball? You stupid kid." I
that
would
would
berate my
be
child.
that would be what starts the robot
Did
revolution.
you watch any
Your
of Parks and Recreation?
your abuse of your child over his love of Chris Pratt in the electric state makes his robot companion attack you, and that's what goes down. That's how it all
It's a
happens.
robot version of Chris Pratt.
That would be great. All
I'm
right.
fighting my demons on that one.
How many different sized Herm models out of 5?
I'm giving it 1.
1.
It's
Dang.
I'll give it 1.5. I'll give it 1.5 because they
Dang.
tried.
Hardcore.
They tried and they had like arcs that could have worked had they done things differently. It wasn't a complete failure, but it was a failure. I'm giving it 1.5.
Yeah. Uh, if I had read the book, I think my score would be lower because then I would know
Okay.
like all the ins and outs. Because again, I know the
Like
visuals,
you
which are
know what
great,
it could have
but
been.
the actual story, I'd be curious to see like how much of that they took. Again, I know it's the girl and the companion robot,
Yeah.
but I don't imagine the Chris Pratt characters in there. I don't imagine a lot of the silliness they get up to in this is in there. So if I knew all of what they decided not to go with in the book to instead just make it like a generic slop blockbuster,
Yeah.
then I think my score would be lower. But I was never like aggressively mad or bored with the film. It's usually
Mhm.
my marker of like if it gets down to 1.5. If I'm like very much not having a good time or
I was
just
getting pretty
mad at
bored. I'm
like
not
their
gonna lie.
choices, um, then I'll go for it. But yeah, for this, I was just like checking out here and there, but I wasn't like, God, when is this going to be over? I did pause it to go because I was like doing laundry, and so I paused it to go check on the laundry for a second. And I was like, "There's 20 minutes left," so that's never a good sign. When I said I
Of
was like,
like, of
"There's
like,
20 minutes left," yeah, but because I thought we were getting
I
close
had
to the
many,
end.
many times while I was watching where I was like, I just wish I wasn't doing this. I just
That's
wish I
so
didn't
cool.
have to like I would not be watching this if not for the show. Like I'm
Yeah,
not enjoying this at
I
all.
wouldn't either. Again, I was like,
It's
I was
not
like,
even
ah.
like it's not even like I can find enjoyment out of how bad it is. It's just like I don't. It's the same as House of Gucci of like I don't want to be watching this.
But House of Gucci was fun because we were all there together in the theater. It
No,
was
dude, because we tried to watch it with Lillian. Were you there for that when she put it on the
no, that was
TV?
a
It was
later thing
we were all
that
there
you guys
sitting there. She
did.
put it on because she's like, I wanted to see it. I heard it's bad. I think it'd be fun to watch a bad movie. And she put it on. She was like, this is the wrong kind of bad. This is
Yeah,
it's like isn't even fun to watch in a group. This is just like unentertaining confusion. We gotta stop making fun of House of Gucci on this show.
you're the one that does it. I don't know why I say we. You've
I
got
gotta
the
stop
bumper
making fun
pick
of
with
House
House
of
of
Gucci. It's
Gucci.
the number one movie I've picked on this show.
It is.
Sorry,
But yeah,
Ridley.
I'm giving 2 out of 5 her models.
It's close to what I put.
Yeah,
This is
but
one of the
again, it's close.
few. This is one of the few rare times where I've been a little more harsh about a movie than you. I think
I think generally, like if you hate a movie, you hate it. Like you give it
this is true.
lower scores, I think, than I do. But you also, I think, will
I
be
think I'm
very
more
enthusiastic
generous.
and
Yeah,
like not overrate because again, it's your scale. But
I
you'll
work on extremes. Let me tell you.
exactly.
I do. You can say overrate. I think it's accurate because when we did our recap for last year, there were movies that like dropped down because I was like, what was I thinking? I was just like
Yeah.
on some highs or some fumes or something and gave it a higher rating than I think it actually deserved.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're excited because for the first like 6 months, nothing great had come out, and so once we started getting stuff, you're like,
Yeah, dude.
yes, like let's go
I
for it.
saw Kinds of Kindness and I was like, finally. Oh my god. And I saw Substance and I was like, finally. Oh my god. And they are good movies.
Exactly. Yeah.
They're not fives. And I gave them fives.
But okay, so there we go. 1.5 from you, a 2 from me. The majority of this episode, we didn't even talk about the movie, so I think that indicates
Don't even see it, guys.
everything you need to know.
Every single actor in this movie has better projects. Go watch their other better projects. What's unfortunate is if this movie was in theaters, I'd still be telling people to go see it because like I think you should support original cinema in theaters 100%.
Yeah, go see Mickey 17 instead.
Yeah, go see Mickey 17 or what else is out in theaters? Let me look at our
Novocaine, Black Bag.
Novocaine.
Like there's
Yeah.
solid,
The
like
Day the Earth Blew Up, a
fairly
Looney Tunes movie.
original. Yeah, a whole Looney
Paddington in
Tunes movies out
Peru.
there.
The
So
Monkey. These are all like, well, I guess the Looney Tunes movie is not original, but these are all pretty much original content that needs your support. Even if it's not great, go check it out. Get Regal Unlimited. You should have to see 2 movies a month, and you've paid for it.
exactly,
Or if Regal's not in your area, get AMC Stubs. It's the same thing. You just watch 2 movies a month, and it's pretty much paid for. You're pretty
exactly,
much spending no extra money. And when it comes time for all the good movies to come out, now you're making money on it, which is awesome because you can just go see all the movies at once, and you just save so much money. And all you have to do is on those slow months, pick 2 movies that you think you maybe wouldn't have seen had you not had the subscription, and go see those movies. And you will have supported the theaters, you will have paid for your pass, and you will have seen some movies that maybe you wouldn't have otherwise. That sounds like a win-win-win to me, man.
you're so right about that.
I am so right about that. I don't typically, you know, glaze corporations or the deals they make, but these unlimited movie passes are
It's a
the way
no-brainer
to go.
for like
Yeah.
movie lovers. Like, yeah, it's just
I don't
so
usually like to advertise
simple.
though, but I will advertise for theaters because I fuck with theaters.
There you
Except
go.
for
All
Alamo
right.
Draft House firing 70 people. Fuck that shit.
Yeah, not great.
Atrocious. I'm more for the worker than I am for the theaters. I'll always be against the man as long as
Yeah,
I'm alive.
treat. We won't go into this. Actually, we need to wrap up the show. But be kind to your theater employees and clean up after yourselves. So ridiculous. You guys are adults. Um, why are we leaving popcorn on the
Ryan
floor,
Hill is
popcorn
number one
buckets?
theater etiquette, number one theater etiquette
It's
guy.
just absurd. Like I just don't understand the thought process of people that go in there, eat a bunch of stuff, leave the stuff there. Like just pick it up on
Yeah,
the way out.
sure.
People that
Ryan
are on
Hill
their phones,
has
people that talk. It's just absurd.
oh
I can't.
Ryan hates it. Ryan Hill has asked me to tell another woman to get off of her phone in front of us in a class, not a full theater, but a class that we were in watching
Yeah, we
Sophie's
paid for
Choice.
that education. Okay, we're
He
paying to
said,
watch this
he
movie,
said,
and it
tell
costs a
her to
lot more
turn
than
her
a
phone
regular
off.
ticket. Okay,
He leaned forward. He said, "Tell her to turn her phone off.
I
Tell
don't
her to
even
turn her
remember
phone off."
what
And I
movie
was like,
was it. It was
"It was Sophie's
Sophie's
Choice.
Choice.
It was
Yeah.
Sophie's Choice." You were
That
sitting
was your
behind me, and
choice. Okay, and you
I was like,
failed. You did
no.
me.
I was like, I'm not doing that. If you want to do that, do it. I'm not getting up. And you're like, just tell her, say, turn your phone off. Turn your phone off.
Without guilt, without hesitation, I will
Yeah.
tell you to stop. Unless
There were
I'm not the
times
target
where I have
audience of
been
the film.
frustrated though from talking. I think talking is way more atrocious than a phone being on. I just
How
can't.
about somebody talking on the phone? Now that's crazy. That's
Yeah, that is
insane.
insane. I've never experienced that. Thank God.
That happened to me at the Love Your Shorts Film Festival.
No fucking way. In the
The guy
theater?
was behind me, yes, and we're watching. It's the first movie. It's an animated movie. It's like a silent movie too.
No
It was
fucking
so cool.
way.
It was so creative. It was stop motion. You would have loved it. And this dude just yapping behind me, and I couldn't believe it.
Did you
And
get
so I
him?
looked. I turned around to him to give him like the coldest death stare ever. And then it seemed like he stopped, but then he kept going. Uh, and so I turned around and I said, "Dude, turn your phone off." I think I said, "Sir," because I was trying to be respectful. I was very much like in that tone of like, "Sir, turn your phone off." And he paused, and I looked, and I was like, "What's he gonna say? What's he gonna do here?" And he goes, "I'm so sorry about that." And I was like, "Okay." I was like, "Take it outside if you need to, and
Got
then
him.
turn back around." And then the next film started, the next short film, and he got up and left midway through. And I was like, I don't know
Did he
what's
come
going on
back?
there. He did come back later.
Ugh,
They didn't talk on the phone or anything. And then he
there you
left
go.
again midway through, like two films later. So he just, I don't know what he was there for. Like he paid money to get into this place and he was just yapping through the
Yeah.
first film and walking in and out. But he did not stay for the second block of the films. He did not come back in. So
Yeah.
I
There were
don't
a
know what
couple
was going
times
on there.
recently where I've had some teenagers talking in the theater and it's been driving me nuts. There was a big group with me watching I'm Still Here, which I'm like, why? Why is like a teenage group did you decide to come see I'm Still Here, the Brazilian movie, and then talk through it? Why did you what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Like, go watch like a fucking shitty movie or something next door. Pay for that if you're just gonna talk through the whole thing. Why did you come and see like the best picture nominee and best picture contender for Brazil? What who the fuck are you? Like, why are you doing this? Like a big group. There was like 10 of them. I was like, what who wanted to watch this movie and why did you bring your talking friends? Because one of them wanted to see it. One of them wanted to see it and cared to see it. And the other ones didn't give a shit and talked.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you bring those friends? Because you ruined it for me, man. I had to go see it again.
Really? Dang, that's crazy.
That was the
Yeah.
first time I watched it, and then we did our review of it, and I think my review was lower, and part of it was because they were talking, it was driving me fucking nuts. And then I went and saw it again with Carlos later, and I was
You
like, this
should
is much
have
better.
told them off, bro. You should have stood up and said, "Yo,
I thought about it.
this is a movie."
It was worse because it was like one of the small theaters at Regal too. It was like one of the ones that are like really, really tiny in the corner. But there was another
Mm.
time, I can't remember the movie for the life of me, but it was a really big theater, and it was empty. It was like midnight because I had gotten off work and I had to go see it that night. And so it was very, very late. Completely empty theater. It was me and like maybe like three other people, and then two people in the very far back. But the three other people didn't show up for like 30 minutes into the movie, which is crazy. You would still go. So for like the first 30 minutes, it was me and then like two people in the very far back. And I heard noises that were not talking, man. I heard some lip smacking, and I was like, oh no, not right now, buddy.
That's terrible. So what'd you do? You were just
I was like, I
in
was like,
silence, like,
I was
"Please
like,
stop." Like, "Get
yeah,
me
I
to
was like, I
stop." What are you
hope they
doing?
stop. Please, God. I heard a
Yeah,
moan at
that's a
some point, and I was
terrible
like, Jesus Christ.
like, that is just extremely disrespectful to, number 1, do in any movie theater. Because again, there's like, movie theater employees will go in there,
Yeah. Also,
or
they
in
have
projector booths,
cameras that
they
can
know,
see in the
like, they know.
dark. They
Yeah,
all have cameras that can see in the dark. They can see you.
but number
They can get
2,
live footage to what is happening. They know
if
exactly what's happening.
other people are in there in the auditorium, like, come on. What are you doing? Let's be a little classy here. and not subject other people to your nonsense.
Yeah. On that note, that's all the time we have. If you'd like to give your thoughts on the show, you can email us at theboxofficialpod@gmail.com.
Our main title theme for the show is Sundown by Joseph McDade. Dylan is sneezing like a mofo here. He's
Fuck
going crazy.
off. I muted the microphone for a reason.
Let it rip on the air, man.
Fuck no. I have allergies. It's horrible. The pollen count is at a high right now. It has been for the last week. It's going to be for the next 3 weeks.
Shout out to all my folks out there that don't have allergies. Yes. He's sneezing.
Get the fuck out of here. Stop commenting on my nose.
No, I'm
you don't
so
know what kind of hell that I've lived in this last week. It has been awful. Fucking,
it's brutal. I just can't believe. Again, that's one of those things too. Of this is why the robots will kill us off. They're like, you guys have allergies from the plants.
They'll just take a tree and squeeze pollen into my face.
Yeah,
and I'll die.
Down for the count. Dang. No, that sucks. I'm sorry.
If you like the show, please give us 5 stars. Whatever podcast that you're listening to. Be sure to tune in next week. Have a great rest of it.